Welcome back, America. We're here with our guest, Zuhdi Jasser. Zuhdi Jasser, I've known a long time, actually. He's running the Republican primary in Arizona in the 4th District. Zuhdi, how are you, sir?
Great. It's so great to be back with you. Thank you, Mark, for having me.
And you and me as well. Tell everybody about your background.
Yeah, my parents came here legally, got asylum back in the mid-'60s. I was born in the U.S., grew up in a small town in Wisconsin, and served in the Navy 11 years on a medical scholarship, and ultimately was a physician to Congress, was on the USS El Paso for a couple of years, served in Operation Restore Hope in Somalia, and then came and practiced with my father here in Phoenix and in the Tempe and Mesa area, taking care of patients here for 25 years. Was not only the head of the Medical Association here in Arizona, but also post 9/11, as you know, as I got to know wonderful patriots like you. I confronted radical Islam and took on the theocratic movement within Muslim movements globally, not only here in America with the Muslim Brotherhood, but globally from Iran to Hamas and onward, and realized that as a doctor we needed to treat the disease. And I've been serving the country that gave my family freedoms to practice our faith like no other country on the planet. And now I want to continue to serve, seeing my country at the edge of a cliff, brought to bear by the red-green axis of the Bidens of the world, working with the radical Islamists from the White House to Congress to the UN. And it's time that we get adults there in Congress, and I'd like to be part of that solution.
Now, you know, I'm a big supporter of America, obviously, but a big supporter of Israel. So what do you tell people in the 4th District about your support for Israel? I just want them to know about it.
Yeah, I tell them that I'm uniquely positioned to be able to tell the world and tell our country what's at stake if we don't support the greatest democracy in the Middle East and our greatest ally in the world, which is Israel. That not only does it represent an existential threat to freedom if we do not support them, but if we don't stand up to the radicals like Hamas, Iran, and all of those that are surrounding them in a neighborhood which is the worst neighborhood on the planet, that we will be next. And the horrors that we're seeing in the genocide of the Holocaust will come back if we don't stand with our ally and bring back presidents like President Trump that created the Abraham Accords and was able to advance liberty and advance a support of the state of Israel. And as a Muslim, I've recognized that anti-Semitism is an endemically taught ideology within the mosques and within Islamic organizations, and that I confronted that. I walked towards that fire, and my family paid a dear price for that. We were listed on hate sites from Al-Qaeda to ISIS to Muslim Brotherhood across this country, and I wrote a book called The Battle for the Soul of Islam, realizing that the cancer of terrorism is like saying that Blitzkrieg was a cancer. It's really Nazism, and the Nazism of political Islam is what created the Muslim Brotherhood and Hamas and others. So I, even more than a member of the Jewish community, I, as a member of the Muslim community, can be an antidote immediately to the Ilhan Omars of the world. And people should go to z4az.com, z4az.com, if they want to see a change in Congress to where we can immediately do away with the identity politics, the gaslighting of the BLM movement and the squad that's pro-Hamas, and have real Americans in Congress that can marginalize these militant identity politic Islamists.
In fact, you created an organization to confront them, and you've been threatened a lot by the radicals, haven't you?
Very much so. And, we've been told that we're Uncle Toms, and I've been targeted during my testimonies to Congress, and built a coalition that ultimately of a Muslim reform movement of many startup groups that believe in Western liberal democracy, liberal republics like our great country of America. And but that price is a small price to pay as we look across the world, and my family's in Syria and across the Middle East are living in dictatorship and don't have the oxygen of freedom that we have here. They're living a few miles away from chemical weapons attacks from Assad, from Iran's theocracy. And what I can do to pay back this country is to continue to serve, to walk towards that fire, to expose the radicals, and make sure my kids, listen, the only way to defeat jihad is to teach our kids that the only thing worth dying for is America. God doesn't need us to die for his religion, and the jihadists are trying to rebrand themselves under the vacuum that is the Biden administration now. The jihad brand is about dying for the Islamist movement, and we see that happening with the BLM movement and others where they want to destroy the foundations of America. And it's a very small price to pay to defend this country and walk towards the political arena to be able to stand tall that our foundations, our Constitution is only is much more than the paper it's written on. It is about a country that is worth dying for, that's worth protecting. And if we don't articulate that, we won't have a country anymore. And people should go to z4az.com to see what my campaign is about.
Now, first of all, Mr. Producer, let's put that on our social sites. Zuhdi Jasser is even attacked by people I know who should know better, as far as I'm concerned. And I want to hold you over to the next segment, Zuhdi Jasser, so we can talk more about the district, about who's endorsed you, about who you're running against, and who holds the seat currently. I'm talking to Zuhdi Jasser, who's a great American patriot above all things. I'll be right back.
The thunder on the right. Call in now, 877-381-3811.
I've known Zuhdi Jasser for many years. He's a great patriot. And the man has guts. Stands up against the Islamists. Which you have to imagine, if you're Muslim, it's not that easy to do. But he does it. He formed an organization to fight them. And he does. He fights them in the trenches, so to speak, politically. And he's a great patriot. And you can go to z4az.com, because most people don't spell Zuhdi correctly. But anyway, it's z4az.com, z4az.com. So tell us about your district. Tell us who you're running against. Tell us about your endorsements to date.
Yeah, so the district is the 4th district. It's all in Maricopa County, includes predominantly all of Tempe and most of Mesa, a little bit of Phoenix, and a little bit of Scottsdale. And it's the old Kristen Cinema district, but it was redistricted a little over 2 years ago and became now basically a swing district. It's a D plus 1.5%. This district's been won by Doug Ducey, Republican, by 6 points. Kimberly Yee by 1.5. So it can be won by Republicans. The current member of Congress there is Greg Stanton, the old Phoenix mayor, who's been really resting on his laurels. He's 100% Biden rubber stamper. Recently, just last week, endorsed including illegals in the illegals in the census count of constituents, which shows you where his priorities are. He's completely missing in action in an empty suit. And by the way, the numbers for this district are 38% independents, 32% Republican, and 30% Democrat. So there should be a conservative in this seat in this year's election, as there's going to be huge changes in November towards a red wave, as we're hoping. And I'm not taking anything for granted. The other primary candidates, there's 3 of them. They've all run before, one 6 times, the other one 3 times, and the main opponent I have won last time, Kelly Cooper, but then he lost the stand in this split district by 13 points. So, voters are looking for people they can trust on the border. Kelly supported the border plan, the Biden border plan that allowed 5,000 across, which wasn't bipartisan, and my opponent called it bipartisan. And he has been squishy on a number of issues and over his skis on foreign policy issues. He didn't even, in our debate, didn't even support Israel clearly, said that they really, America needs to retract and et cetera. And bottom line is
one of them.
We need to articulate that October 7 was an existential threat to the West. It was a act of horrific war, of genocide by Hamas, which is in their charter. And there's no a more clear time that we need to stand with our allies and continue to support them.
Now, have I endorsed you yet? I think I did, didn't I?
I would be honored if you would. That would be wonderful. I've been endorsed by Charlie Kirk and Senator Kyle and Hugh Hewitt and Seth Leibson and Glenn Beck, and you would be an amazing addition to that, Mark.
Well, I formally endorse you, Zuhdi. I'm sorry I hadn't already, to be perfectly honest with you. But you have my
God bless you. Thank you.
Absolute support. And I can vouch for you, no matter what other people might say. I can vouch for you. And that would be a hell of a win there, the primary and then the general election as well. So basically you have conservative support in all the different conservative factions, it sounds like to me, no?
Exactly, and that's what I think is one of the differences I can make is, I get it right now, the families we talk to, they care about the border number 1, 2, and 3. They want to seal it, build Trump's wall, and stop the crime and drugs that come in, but also the economy. Inflation's killing our families here, and it's just, I get it. I'm a small business owner. I've been fighting against Obamacare and all the things. But I can also hit the ground running and generate a national platform that I have, as you know, to raise the money needed to beat the Democratic, the DCCC machine that keeps puppets like Greg Stanton in place. He's had no committee assignments that anybody knows about. He's had no platform, does no media, and yet continues to get reelected because he's not had serious competition. So I can bring serious competition and also then be an antidote on day one to the Ilhan Omars and Rashida Tlaibs and the Black Lives Matter squad types that want to destroy this country through identity politics and rebrand conservative movements of being the party of diversity, ideological diversity, and the foundations of what America really is about.
Now, way back, a few years back, I supported you being appointed to fill the vacant seat as a senator. And I don't understand why the governor didn't do that. He missed a great opportunity, but I know you'd be a great member of the House. So Z for AZ.com, Z for AZ.com. And you even have some Jewish groups backing you. Isn't that true?
Yes, and Daniel Pipes wrote an amazing piece saying that, one of the most important possible new members of Congress. And we've been working with a number of pro-Israel groups because, listen, I do it because it's conviction. It's not because it's a talking point. I believe that the defense of Israel is what the future of the West is about. And if we're going to save the West from the BLM and Red Green Axis and others, we have to stand with allies like Israel because that's how we defeat radical Islam, is by defending religious minorities. And I was appointed to the U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom for 4 years by the U.S. Senate. So I've gone to these countries and looked at their face and translated what they were saying in Arabic to our State Department and expressed to them, the realities of the hate that was being transmitted. And I'd like to continue to do that on behalf of not only my district in Mesa and Tempe, but on behalf of America.
And you're a great lover of the country. You've made that clear. You want the border secure. You believe in American sovereignty. You want to build up the United States military. And you're a great patriot. And so, of course, I endorse you. I hope people will come to your aid. It's a busy primary, so turnout means everything. So when is the primary? How does the voting take place in Arizona?
So this is what's so important. Right now, the ballots went out a few days ago. It's in people's mailboxes. 80% of people are going to vote in the next 2 weeks by mail. So this is why it's so important that they go to our website, z4az.com, if they don't know. If you're in Mesa, Tempe, if you know any friends in the area, in Maricopa County, in these cities, please call them, get them on board. This is quite a movement. We will change not only the state and secure it, but the country with this campaign. But then our primary day is July 30th. So the other 20% are all going to vote in person on July 30th. And once we win the primary, we will hit the ground running to give Stanton a competition and a run for his money that he's never had before, and we will flip this seat and not only help the Republican majority in November, but help rebrand conservatism as the party of diversity and the party of Americanism.
Now, did you say ballots are mailed out? How does that work? Ballots are mailed out?
Yep, ballots for those that want to vote by mail or early. They were sent out last week and came into the mailboxes on July 5th.
Okay. Well, my full-hearted support, Zuhdi Jasser, you folks that have those ballots and are in his district, I hope you'll strongly come out and support him. These primaries are turnout issues. We saw what happened in Virginia. You know, the incumbent lost by like 300 votes out of tens of thousands cast, and this happens from time to time. So it's zforaz.com, zforaz.com, Zuhdi Jasser. And he's a great American patriot. I wish you all the best, my friend. Keep me informed. Let me know how it turns out.
Absolutely. You're the best. I appreciate it more than I can say. And I look forward to serving in Congress and talking to you more.
All right. God bless you. Take care of yourself. He's the real deal. I don't care what anybody tells. I'll get an email from one guy I know. But you don't know about that. I know about everything.